Hello, and welcome to Futures First Gaming's second annual celebration of women in gaming and technology. Today, we'll be discussing disrupting esports through our own experience with Evil Geniuses leading women. I am Jihan J, your moderator this afternoon, and I'm super excited for you all to listen to this panel of phenomenal women that are leading Evil Geniuses. So I would like to start introducing. Today, we have Velez, Manager of Global Partnership. We have Casey Evans, Director of Global Brand Marketing. We have Mickey Rao, Campus Program Manager, and Katrina Sheehan, Marketing Manager at Evil Geniuses. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Hello.
And I know some of you are on the West Coast, so good morning. So let's start off. Could you all please tell me, and we can start off with Mickey, if you all can please tell me about yourself.
Yeah, hello. I'm Mikey Brower. I am the Campus Program Manager here at Evil Geniuses. So my role here is to oversee our intern program. So anything that has to do with our Genius League, anything that has to do with early career development, I oversee that along with a couple other tasks within the culture team. My background is 100% in interns, so I'm really great at running programs and making them successful and making sure that we can bring in the right talent into the companies that I work for.
Nice. So can we go with Casey?
Yes, thanks for having me. I am Casey Evans. I'm our Global Director of Brand Marketing. So I currently oversee our social and digital efforts. I oversee our experiential marketing, player marketing, and all things that are our brand campaigns and how we cover our 5 titles. So super pumped to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming, Katrina.
Hi, my name is Katrina Xian. Hi, everyone. And I am the marketing manager, or specifically social media manager at Evil Geniuses. What I do at Evil Geniuses is I managed our APAC channel. That is specifically right now Weibo and Douyin. And then I oversee agencies located in China and to plan and execute our social media plans for the region.
Nice. And Dara?
Hi there. My name is Dara Vallis. I'm the manager of global partnerships. So what that means, when our sales team sells a sponsorship with a brand, it gets handed over to me or one of my counterparts, and we activate or fulfill what is in those contracts. So we're working with our gaming, marketing, Genius League teams. Basically, we touch a lot of parts within the org just to make sure everything that has been built within these partnerships with these amazing brands that we're partnered with are fulfilled and authentic to the audience that we have.
Thank you for such a warming and welcoming introduction of you all. So now let's get back into it. What brought you all into this professional journey, especially women in this industry? And we can go, anybody can speak.
I can start and then we can go from there. So one thing that I really was looking for in my next career move after being at a company I was with for 4 years was somewhere that I could disrupt, somewhere where I wasn't put into a box, where I could really make a difference, not just within the space that I'm in, not just within interns or in the culture team, but within an industry. And Evil Genius has given me that opportunity. I've only been with the company for a little over 6 months, but I've really been given the opportunity like this to speak out about, educating those who want to get into esports, who may not be gamers, or educating those who are gamers but don't quite know how to get into this space. Really making a difference is the big key as why I wanted to join esports and in this industry.
Love it. I can go next. So I got into esports because I come from a traditional sports background, which I'm sure we might dig into in other conversation topics. But I've always been a casual gamer. I'm like, Nintendo Switch is my jam. It always has been. And I just saw a really unique opportunity for this industry and spaces to grow and more representation that was needed, and like all these combined things. And I was also just very done with traditional sports. So I figured it was a great crossover of my knowledge and skills as esports sort of builds this foundation to continue growing at the incredible rate that it already is. And so far, so good. I've been at EG since February, so not very long. A lot of us are fairly new, and it's been a wild ride so far, but very, very excited to keep learning about the industry and see what we can do.
I guess I will go next. So my background, this is actually my first esports or gaming job. Before esports, I was at entertainment industry, specifically working for theatrical marketing and PR at Disney. And the reason why I got into this esport, I guess pandemic really played a big role. And as all of you know, the theatrical was very hit hardly by the pandemic. And then that actually gave me a good time to reflect on myself, to think about, okay, what should I do next? And where is the next big thing? So then I do some, I was talking to some friend, and then I know gaming it's always big. But now the pandemic really gave me a time to think deeply about this. And then I saw this position come up. I'm like, esports gaming, yes, that's the next big things coming. And then I actually think our industry, like esports, was very similar to Hollywood from like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So I think this industry has so much potential, and it's very new and immature in a way. And then I'm really done with Hollywood as well, because that's very sophisticated, and then there's nothing I can do there. It's very everything set in stone, versus I can make a change here, make a bigger impact at EG or even at esports in general.
Nice.
Yes. For me, it's a combination of all these experiences that these wonderful ladies have had as well. I come from a very traditional sports background. I was fortunate to work for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know if you've heard of them, for 7 seasons. And sorry, and with the NBA, I mean, the court stays the same, right? Maybe you can add a couple more things of signage. And obviously with the pandemic, you saw the renaissance of digital signage, but outside of that and social media, they're really, it's hard, I think from my perspective, to be as innovative as you can be when it's the same kind of sport. Whereas moving into esports, there's so many titles out there, and depending on which org that you're in, or if you're on the team side versus the publisher side, I think there's more creativity for us, especially with those with a traditional marketing and sports marketing background, for us to flex creatively, right? There are less constraints. And one, I think, phrase that I remember using in my, interview, and also I've used, talking to similar groups like this, is it's the new frontier, right? You can see the exponential growth, and there's a lot of people who have seen that vision and seen that future and seen that potential. And, personally for me, my younger sister, we have a huge age gap, I think close to 7 years, and she's the gamer, right? She's the Gen Z in my family, and she's the one who built the PC. I'm very casual gamer, like Nintendo Switch, that gives me the least amount of anxiety. So, and I also had plenty of colleagues from traditional sports, and even the Lakers moved from, this role over to the publisher side. And also being in LA, it's a huge hub for us. So, I think it was the most natural next step for me to go into esports, be able to, flex all this experience, this wonderful experience that I've had, and especially working with these ladies, like, there's so much we could do here at EG, not just for the org, but with the teams and even just the space, right? And creating, visually and physically, people can see that opportunity, right? And you see these women in these positions that, we're trying to knock those doors down and like create space for everyone here.
So I heard disrupting, I heard knocking down doors, I heard innovation. How did your experience in other industries impact your perspective of these sports, especially coming from a traditional sports background as well as an entertainment background?
So I come from a very different background from that, actually, and I'll start, and then we can kind of go to those who have been in that. So I actually come from food manufacturing. I worked in potatoes previous to this. So it is a very different background. Going from potatoes to esports is probably the biggest change I'll ever have in my career. But coming from a corporate background, and I'm not saying that esports isn't corporate, but there's still more techie on that side. We're working to build out processes. We're working to bring in that culture, just more than what we've seen in like other corporations and different organizations. So being able to come in with that corporate hat to say, this is a great way that we're doing it here at EG or in esports, but what if we pivot it this way? And it's not doing the same thing as corporations are, but we're taking that innovation of esports and that corporateness and bringing it together. And that's one thing I think that's really important to just note about Evil Geniuses in general is we're not just looking for gamers. We're not just looking for people within the industry. Yes, those people are absolutely fantastic and they are so important to what we're doing. But we also want people coming from, traditional backgrounds in sports, Hollywood, potatoes. We want to see these people and these individuals coming in and bringing in different thought processes and different innovations to ensure that we're, being cohesive and we're really, you can look at EG and see like, I can be that person because I have this background, I'm good at my job, so I would be good at esports.
Yeah. I think for me, I've been fortunate enough to work in organizations and in other companies where it is female-led. There is, I can see myself within that organization, and I can see the same values that I've grown up with and instilled in myself. And so for me, like, yes, I had my specific career goals and what I wanted to do, and kind of had these like broad parameters of like, maybe I go into tech, maybe I go into esports, maybe I continue on this traditional sports path. But especially when I was in my initial conversation with Evil Geniuses and doing my research, I'm like, wow, this is hitting a lot of points that I really want to see in my next role. And especially I think when you come right out of college, sometimes you're just like, I'll take the first thing that comes my way, which is sometimes you do what you got to do, right? I respect that, and I've done that before myself. So get that experience while you're younger, but then like you start to become more calculated, right, as you progress through your career. And so moving over to Evil Geniuses checked off a lot of those boxes. But even I've been here for almost a year and a half now, but I would say working in esports is kind of like dog years, where it's like you're kind of like a grizzled veteran after 1 or 2 years at this point, because it moves so quick. And this constant innovation. But to be in, I guess now, since we're doing a lot of things virtually, to be in these virtual rooms with these amazing people and seeing yourself and seeing these similar experiences, but also I think for us coming back to live events slowly but surely, and I think it's going to get quicker and quicker this year, that you do see yourself in these fans, and maybe you see a younger version of yourself, considering like we're considered boomers at this point, to pull some terminology, that like there is this excitement that like I wanted to get back after being in traditional sports for so long, and to be a representation for maybe girls who are like, oh, I don't know if I can find myself in esports. I'm like, well, I have a degree in molecular biology, so like, yes, you can see yourself here, because it definitely like the Mikey, like you don't have to have this traditional path, like you don't have to necessarily be a gamer to be in this space. Like, bring your true authentic self and work hard, and there's a space for you here.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead. No, Daryl. I mean, sorry, Casey, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, bouncing off of Daryl and the traditional sports background. So I come from almost 10 years at Major League Baseball, where we worked with all 30 teams. And I think being on the league side, you just figure out how to treat all 30 teams equally, right? And there's a really interesting dynamic that's the same with how we're trying to treat our 5 titles that we're a part of. Whereas I think that if you come from like a super corporate background, specifically for the social and marketing side, you are used to like one brand, maybe like 2 or 3 boutique accounts, but that's about it. And here we're talking about 5 different brands for titles laddering up to the same overall brand, plus our culture efforts, plus our tech efforts, plus blah, 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 like all these other things. And so I think that the big impact that I've seen that traditional sports specific ideology has brought to the table for me is just a new way of looking at how we communicate about our teams, specifically through content and on social. So, right now, I feel like a lot of esports coverage on social and digital is very specific to just the team performance. It's tune in, it's maybe a couple of tweets about game updates and reactions, and then it's the final score. And like that's probably it. And then it's retweeting these other leagues and publishers who have all the highlights and the content and all of that. Whereas if we shift that a little bit, how can we fill in the gaps from the hour that our team's not playing to still engage with our audience through original content? So I think that that's like the big thing that I've noticed, at least coming from traditional sports, is that there's this huge gap of just how we're approaching talking about our teams and these games. So super excited to keep building upon that. I think we have a long way to go, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And lots of teams, I think, are kind of starting to have the same idea and thought. Sorry, Katrina, all you girl.
No worries. So I guess I touched upon this a little bit in my introduction, and I guess not just me, a lot of my friends or some of my friends have been transitioning from entertainment, film, TV to gaming to esports, and that's to us it's a natural. Not like a natural, but it's like a step that makes sense because there's actually a lot of similarity of marketing a film to audiences versus marketing esports team to the audience, because we are in Hollywood, I mean theatrical like moviegoer, what we call it, and gamers there are a lot of similar overlapping. Like a lot of our Marvel fan, our esports fan, they are fan of our Marvel movie. And then even when I work at Fox, and we work with Twitch, and we work with Gamer to promote a lot of action-driven movie. And then I guess what I want to bring from Hollywood to here is it's like a long-term planning process, because in Disney and Hollywood, like since it's so old, I mean not old, like so sophisticated, everything set in stone. And when we do a planning, we know exactly what a year ago or half a year ago what we are going to do in like what we are like our planning was so far ahead, and then just it's very well thought out. So but understandable, this is a competitive esports space, and we won't have the same kind of planning like we do in theatrical, but I think there still can be ways it can still be done better. And also in terms of the title we are marketing, like at Disney we have like tier 1, tier 2, maybe not so much Disney, but at Fox it's like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 title. And then so we are, and here we are have the similarity here. So I'm very used to this kind of like marketing different in terms of like prioritization of which title matter the most. And then also another really big thing I really enjoyed in esports, and that I enjoy at film, is we work with regional office a lot. So similar to film, our audience are global, not just NA or Asia. It's not just one region. Our audience are global, just like our film. So when we think about something I have been bringing to the table or try to educate people here is like think about the global audience. And then at Disney, we work with regional team. We have a really strong APAC team, EMEA team, LATAM team, and I'm seeing that kind of structure there in esports, like in 5 years as well as we our team compete internationally. So and also in terms of talent, and then the talent people are people. The talent there we deal with is Hollywood talent. Here we deal with player, but I can tell you they are the same. They have the same ego, same personality, like different ego, different personality, different same drama. I mean, it just human are human beings, so it's just a lot of similarity. And then I actually here encourage more people in like traditional media, Hollywood entertainment, to consider gaming, consider esports as your next move, because it's really fun and then it's easier than what you think.
This is all great information. So I hope everybody that's listening is staying tuned. And so I'm really big. I'm a PhD student right now, getting my PhD in esports. So I'm really, really big on just data analytics. And so with 48% of women playing video games and 45% of women accounting for all gamers, what has your experience been like in a male-dominated industry?
Yeah, I can jump on this one. I think that we have a probably unfair perception because we actually have a lot of incredible women in leadership. Obviously, Nicola Point Jameson. We have Gamer Dog, our director of performance. We have Christine Potter Chi, who is our Valorant head coach. We've got, my executive leadership team member is a woman. My direct boss is a woman. So what I can say is, while EG might be skewing into this amazing women taking over like company, coming from baseball, I can tell you that was actually absolutely not how it was. And it has been the most refreshing change of my life. I don't think I even knew how refreshing it was going to be. For the first time in my entire career, which is really sad to say, I feel like I have levels of leadership that are, I don't want to say protect, but they're empowering me and they're standing up for me. And it's going further and reaching further up than it ever has before because I have women above my head. So I will say, I think that we are probably in a very unique position internally. However, our, working events, I worked an event for Counter-Strike just a few weeks ago. And that entire arena was men, millennial men. They all looked the same. They all sounded the same. They all were rocking the same garb, right? And I think other than the cosplayers, I was probably one of the 10 women that were there, working and or attending the event. So, that's not great, right? Because to your point, there's half of the gaming community is women. I think that it also varies a lot by titles, obviously. And that's going to have a huge impact, which is why this certain event skewed one way so far. But it's difficult, right? To feel like you're welcome, or the weird comments that come at you, or they assume you're working because you're a woman, or they assume that they can ask you for something or to take notes or to do this because you're a female. And it's got to change. But I will say, I do think that teams are probably doing a better job than publishers. And on behalf of EG, we're definitely setting everyone up to feel welcome, which is why I'm super proud to be a part of this org specifically.
Yeah, I do want to echo a lot of what Casey has said. And also, this is a weird advantage and disadvantage at the same time, but growing up with my name, Daryl, which I think skews predominantly male, I would say 95% of the time. And especially if I'm communicating over email, there's no phone and I guess, before 2020, these video chats were not a thing, right? So I could go to the arena and meet this fan or a guest and whoa, you're a woman. I was like, wow, I didn't know that, right? It would, in my head, I'm like, yes. But outwardly facing, nice to meet you, right? And there's a certain level, you have to do a lot of extra work, right? To quote unquote keep up with the guys, because they naturally dominate the space, right? Whether it's in sports and esports, or even just in the general corporate world, right? So creating space and opportunity for other women, and even networking events and talking to younger women or women who are in their same level of career. And even for me, yesterday it was our first day of spring split season for LCS, or League of Legends team, and I was on stage helping with content, and us versus Cloud9, and all four people grabbing content were women. And I just did an internal yes, right? We're starting to see more women get into the space, and more teams and orgs creating that space, right? Because even at the start of spring split, earlier this year, I remember walking in wow, there's a lot of guys here. Where are the women, right? And it's great to see that actual progression of women coming in and owning this space, and actually owning this opportunity, and see the things behind the scenes that yes, you see it on social media, right? You see the amazing content that all these orgs put out, but behind the scenes is this amazing team, a great mix of people, right? And it's not just women, it's not just men, or whatever gender you identify with, that we just want to see the amazing work that you put out, right? There aren't any labels that are attached to it, right? And unless you're like maybe on camera, right? That might be the exception. But I think, yes, there's still tons of growth that needs to happen, right? You put out, the fact that gamers are, it skews half women, basically, but like we're not seeing that representation, in the arenas, in the theaters, even on teams, right? And there's this huge debate of, do we do a women's specific team or tournament, or do we do co-ed, right? And for me, it's like, well, physically, I don't see the issue why, a woman can be on a team, right? But also, we need to create a safe space for women, understanding that it is still like there's a ton of toxicity that remains in this community that we need to work on removing, so that women who can play at the same level as all these other guys can feel safe, right? To be able to compete at the highest level. So while it is great to see that there is progress, at least from what I see anecdotally, 100% there still needs to be more work to be done to create, one, more opportunities, and two, a safer space for women to feel open and honest about feeling like that they belong in this community, whether you're a gamer or you work in this space to work with gamers.
Should I go next? And sure. Okay, so I'm not sure the answer to this because so there are two ways I'm looking at this question. So like I'm not from a corporate level. I think at EG we have like business side, marketing, sales, and we have more women. We have as many women as men, and I'm very proud at EG because I don't see that like from a corporate perspective, like the people working here are a lot of women. And I guess from a competitive perspective, since I'm not a gamer, I'm not sure in a competitive, like in terms of competitive performance, how's women compared to men, that kind of stuff. And then like maybe Valorant could be the next title that breaks through this, because we have like Potter, our coach at Valorant team is a woman, and we have like mixed gender. I think some team are mixed gender, and then we have a lot of girls playing Valorant. So maybe Valorant is the next title that can be more female friendly in terms from a competitive perspective. Like, but again, I'm not a gamer, so I'm not sure how's that different from like when you actually like perform. What does it make a difference? But from a corporate perspective, for our and the team here. Women should like I think they should feel comfortable or feel welcome to join the business side. I mean, we can do a good job here.
I can add a little bit more on this. I have a more masculine name as Mikey, so I very much identify with Daryl on that you just never know. I get a lot of Mr. Rowers, which is totally fine. And, you show up and you're like, on camera or in person, I'm a lady. Nice to meet you. And that does happen. And sometimes it does play to an advantage, but I feel the same way as all the other women on this panel, coming from a space of food manufacturing and supply chain. It's very male dominated. I had a female leader above me at my last company, and that's about it. So one of the big reasons I came to EG was because my boss would be a woman, her boss is a woman, and I can see a line of path to how I can develop my own career within not just EG, but within the industry, because we are leading that. And I'll touch on a little bit too of that toxicity. We really are fighting against that. That is something that EG really stands for. And we want to make sure that people come into EG and feel safe, whether you're on a team playing competitively on a stage, or you're sitting, like this in a panel, having a conversation about this, making sure that we're not pushing that under the rug and still having that conversation to say, esports has a long way to go. We really need to look at this. Women and people who identify as women do not feel safe here. So what are we going to do to make a change? It's something that's really impactful. And another big reason why I came to EG, we had a survey done a couple years ago called Gaming for All that I highly encourage everyone to look at, but it really looks into that. And EG makes a promise to say, we're going to fix this. We're going to make programs. We're going to have these conversations that, again, are really difficult to have, but must be had in order for this industry to continue. I have interns. I have 10 interns under me right now. 3 are women, and they are rock star women. They're absolutely fantastic, but that should be higher. And we need to be able to advocate for not just the people here on this panel, but for everyone out there that wants to enter esports or corporate America in general, to have these conversations. Say, you should feel safe in your job. You should be able to look down the path of leadership and see someone that looks like you or you could identify with. And that's just something that, again, here, EG, we're really passionate about, but the women on this panel are also incredibly passionate about.
Which you guys talked on a lot of important topics, and one is safe space. If you can design your own safe space for women, and shout out to Gamer Doc, that's my girl. If you guys can design your own safe space, what would it be like? We're talking about culture, we're talking about mental health, but just in general, making sure that women and those that identify as women feel safe in a workplace, in an industry of which they thrive in and bring a lot of their creative strategies to, but they don't feel safe. If you could design your own safe space, what would it look like?
I think that's a really great question. I want to almost back up and say, like, we are very much on a show, don't tell strategy, I think, at EG. And it goes, all the way to our recruiting team when they're looking at resumes and looking at names and clicking off to LinkedIn profiles and making sure that the strong resumes we're pulling for the hiring manager to make sure that we have diversity in that pool and that we're not just, looking at photos or signing off on titles or the name or whatever. Like, we're really thoughtful about how we do this. And I think it starts there. And then, our culture team, Mikey's team, Nicole, our CEO, like, it is ingrained within our org to make sure that diversity is absolutely at the forefront of everything that we do. It's talked about openly, which I think is also a way to create a safe space, but done in a way that is where you feel safe because they're allowing you to speak transparently, right, about your problems. And I think that that's where my past organization really failed, was if you wanted to talk about these things, you just felt shut down or like you needed to go report it. It wasn't a conversation. It was very much a one-line communication. And I think that's where we're different. So I think the safe space is really just this act of making people feel like they are able to communicate their frustrations and that we are able to talk about diversity and its importance very openly and candidly, which is so rare from what I know. So I think that's at least the first baby step, is like making sure that it's rooted in everything that your org is doing, for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And to add on top of that is having like a support system, right? If a woman is feeling down, if someone on your team who identifies as a woman is feeling down or feel like they're not being supported, maybe it might be with an external, party, then you have a team behind you who says like, no, whatever you communicated you have a valid point, you have a valid reason. Maybe it might be incorrect, but maybe, they're lacking that self-confidence to kind of have that communication with whatever party, and having that, support system to kind of consult with, or even just like, am I doing this right? Because sometimes, like, I think not even sometimes, a lot of times, being a woman, you question yourself, you question your ability to do things. You're like, am I the right person for the job? Like, hell yes, there's a reason why you got hired, right? You had that, you have that resume, you have that experience, but sometimes those little things of self-doubt creep into your mind, right? But to have, a team behind you that says like, I 100% put my trust in you to execute, to fulfill whatever job that you've been assigned to, right? And I think that having that confidence and having that kind of stability in the back, like, makes it a safe space, right? Because then, whenever you're feeling down, you're like, wait, but like, if they're putting their trust in me, then I can put that trust in myself to do my job in the best way possible. And to what Casey was saying, it's like, you see this, and, especially with Mikey's, Genius League program, like, you see all these accolades on the resume, but it's like, I think it expands to game as well, right? We brought in Potter, who's now our Valorant head coach, to our team as a player, right? Because she put in the work and she was successful competitively, and we elevated her to a head coach role. But we now even have on our Prodigies team a woman who plays on that team. And it's great to see, like, it's not, as male dominated as the League of Legends scene is, we're looking at their skill sets holistically, right? We're looking at the numbers. We're very data driven, and we pride ourselves for being a data driven org, right? We have so many products to showcase that, right? And to see it also expand on the competitive side, it gives me hope as someone who just loves seeing women in this space succeed. And even if it starts from, the beginning levels, but people to have that space to work their way up is an amazing way that, like, we at EG are kind of creating that safe space while still understanding that there is a ton of work to be done to continue building around that, whether it's on the business side or on the gaming side.
I think a really important thing to talk about too is that, we're never going to be able to have one org that's fully dedicated to just women or people who identify as women, or they thems or he hims. That's not realistic. To make sure that we have rock stars on our team, whether that, again, competitive or on the corporate space, we have to be able to work together. And Casey touched on this a little bit, and I'm within the culture team. That's my team. I love that team so much. But we do make sure during the recruiting process, whether you're an intern, a full-time role, executive, you're someone like us, we really want to make sure that you're going to jive with the rest of the team. And it's not a culture fit type thing. It's an EG thing. It's incredibly important for us to be able to have conversations. And I work with these women all day, and they're not on my teams, but we do so many things like panels, like, Daryl needs an intern to help with something. She pings me, I need Casey to do a social post. I ping her. We're consistently having conversations with all of our teammates. And in order to make sure that we all drive together, we have to come together and have the same thought process. And our male counterparts want us to have a safe space just as bad as we want to have a safe space. And I think that that's something we also have to talk about, because, like, I'm woman, hear me roar all day long, but our men also need to be able to back that up, and we need to support them. So ensuring that we all feel safe and we can come together, have these conversations. We have all hands every month that we can have kind of difficult conversations. And usually the world that we're living in right now, there's some difficult conversations that need to be had. And Nicole is the first one to hop on that mic and have that conversation with us and ensure, you are safe here. We have resources for you if you need to talk to anyone. If you want to talk to me, come up to me. I feel comfortable talking to anyone in the organization and saying, I'm having a tough day, or I really need your help on this, or can you jump in because I can't do this. So we really have to recognize that as well. Yeah, again, I am woman, hear me roar all day long, but we have to make it safe for absolutely every individual, no matter how you identify.
I guess on that, I don't this one I don't have a good answer. So I feel like I'm lucky. Since graduating from college 2015, other than my first job that was very male dominant, and my other two jobs, including this one, this is my third job, actually four, and then it's there's like a natural split between women and the male and the female. And a lot of my old coworker were female. And obviously at EG, we have a great representation of female. And I don't think I never run into that issue of like a toxicity working as a female in either entertainment or here. Maybe if I'm at the production team, then I might experience that, because in Hollywood, the production team were more male dominated than female. The crew members, but like the marketing and the PR, I think we have more female than male. So I don't know.
No, that's good. Just as a former assistant principal of culture, and this one's for you, Mikey, what do you all do to make sure that everyone feels appreciated in the EG culture, especially coming from an amazing leader like Nicole?
Definitely. I love culture. I live and breathe culture. I want to be the culture queen of EG eventually. Like, that's where I strive to. But we really want to make sure that, as a candidate, you feel special, that you feel wanted. That's one thing that I think our recruiter, whose name's Ben Brooks, big shout out to Ben Brooks. He's fantastic. I think he helped recruit the majority of us on this call. He does a really good job at making sure that you feel that, and you feel that EG wants you here because you are the master of your craft. You are so niche-y, and we need you here today to continue to build this incredible organization. And then once you get into EG, it's important to make sure that you still feel that way. And that's one big thing that I'm a big advocate for. Regardless of if you've been here for a year and a half like Daryl, or you're new like Casey and I, we want you to feel special and you to feel appreciated and rewarded. And you can have these opportunities like sitting on panels and having conversations. So that's one big area that we really strive for. It also starts with interns. I mean, I'm going to always go back to my interns. My interns today are tomorrow's leaders. And if we don't make them feel special today in our org, they're not going to either come back to EG and feel that same way, or they're not going to go out into the world and make themselves feel better at other organizations and find that spot that they feel at home with. That's another thing that brought me to EG. You know, the minute I had a conversation with Ben, I thought, I don't care if I'm the janitor. I don't care if I am, you know, a customer service person. I have to work for this org because I feel so special here, and they're making me feel like they need me and they want me. And that's what every employee needs to feel across the board. Again, who cares what your title is? If you don't feel welcomed, if you don't feel appreciated, then you're not going to do your job and you're not going to stay here. So that's one big thing that we're doing. You know, we do monthly events. We had a happy hour event on Monday to welcome our new CSGO team into the office and to celebrate Pride, which was really fun. We do consistent conversations that we have. We have AMAs with our executive leadership where we can ask them anything, which is always interesting. There's some fun conversations that kind of start from there. But we really just want to make sure that we are a team that you have access to all leaders, all members of the team, whether you're, again, you're on the competitive side or you're in the corporate side, to have those conversations and to feel like you get, you know, a nice big EG warm welcome hug every time you walk through those doors.
Does anybody else want to touch on the culture perspective of EG? What do you guys enjoy most about the culture perspective? Those that are new.
I can jump in. I think that one thing that Mikey and her team do is, like, yes, we have all the larger company like events, but it's also very much instilled in us and like recommended that we take that to a team level too, right? Like specifically with your team. So for instance, our marketing monthly meeting is my favorite time of the month, because our structure for the meeting, instead of it being like a round table and executive updates and, you know, presenting what's coming, it's like 10 minutes of shout outs. People just raise their hand and talk about Katrina and shout out what she's doing and and it'll go on for 10 minutes. I kid you not. And it's like the most life-giving moment of my month. This is I'm not exaggerating. But then the next 10 minutes are two people who maybe don't work super closely. Maybe they just work cross-functionally within marketing, that have to have met before the monthly meeting and put together 2 slides, fun slides, not branded slides, on the other person and introduce them to the team on like a deeply personal level. So, you know, we just had ours this past week, so it's top of mind. We have 2 new social coordinators, Sabrina and Drew. One's in New Jersey, one's in LA right now, and they have never met. They're both brand new to the company. So they each spent 5 minutes talking about the other person. And so I learned that Drew has 2 cats, Tink and Tank, which I think is hilarious, or Chip and Tink, I'm sorry. And, you know, and then I learned that Sabrina's super into K-dramas, which then sparked Katrina's interest because Katrina's super into K-dramas, right? So we're connecting dots with the very basic human things that like humans want. And so I think that also, whether you realize it or not, is subconsciously breaking down any kind of biases that you have. It's making those personal connections so that you have something else to talk about without feeling like you're forced to meet every single, you know, person on your team. And so it just kind of happens organically. And then the last thing I'll say is that the other 5 minutes are dedicated to a separate person who is either volunteered or chosen to teach us something new. And it can be about anything. You know, we've had everything from, this is Discord and why it would be a great place to create a safe space for gamers, right? And how can we help with moderating and make it truly that safe space for our community, all the way to thought strategy ideas and how we think about breaking down barriers to entry and just getting the group, you know, talking out loud together. So I think that, in short, you know, it's from the top down, very much been presented to us that this is important and it should be woven into your day-to-day. And then it's on the department leaders to make sure that that gets surfaced all the way to their teams too, individually. So I think that we've done a really great job in making, and will continue to make, everyone feel, not just after they've joined the program or joined the org, but throughout their time here, that we want to get to know them on the very basic levels of who they are. And I think that goes a very long way.
That was a great answer, the importance of humanistic characterization. And so one of the questions that I really have, just as a person that practices mindfulness, how do you all practice work-life balance and make sure that you protect your mental health?
I would love to talk about this one as someone who used to work an 82 game minimum schedule, plus events, plus, yes, there's an off season, but we're planning for the next season. So, when you start off your career, there's a tendency to go like full send, right? I'm going to work super hard. It's cool to work long hours. Like, yeah, it's not that cool, right? You start to feel that strain and that stress. So what I've learned, and as somebody who, I am now a morning person who likes to work out at 6 or 7 in the morning, because that was my one pocket of consistency, when sometimes I'd be working my normal 9 to 5, but then my normal 9 to 5 is supplemented with a game, which might end at 11:30, might not get home until 12, but then I'm still wired from the excitement of the game. So I'm not sleeping until 1, but I'm still gonna make it to my 6 a.m. workout. I'm like, oh, you're crazy. But like finding something consistent, right? Which is like, at that time was like my 6 a.m. workout, is like finding space for me, right? That's where I like to get my endorphins, right? And that's, part of like, me finding something healthy for me to do. And as it translates over to esports, right? We have a lot of teams that play internationally, right? Our League of Legends team was just in Korea playing at MSI, and we were watching games, especially for our West Coast people, at 1 a.m. in the morning, and then maybe the second game would be at 4 a.m., right? And sometimes we don't have a normal Monday through Friday, schedule, right? We have matches on the weekends, we have matches at odd times, and then so finding balance is potentially just working with your department to say, like, if I'm working on this weekend, my new weekends are going to be Monday and Tuesday, for example, or maybe spread it out so it's like Monday and Wednesday, or someone, I'm on the partnerships team, so yes, I still need to do my normal Monday through Friday 9 to 5. I still have events on the weekends, potentially with entertaining partners, but it's finding space within that week, potentially, of like, I'm going to take a longer lunch break, or I'm going to work from 9 to 12, do personal stuff between 12 and 4, right? And then maybe work later from like 4 to 7 to be able to like get that work done. And I have an amazing vice president, and even my supervisor, Eric and Leo, we come from traditional sports and marketing backgrounds where you understand you got to find those pockets of time. So as long as you get your work done, you do you, right? As long as you are, at least communicating like, hey, I won't be available between X day and X time, but I will, get this handled, then that's how you're able to find pockets of time when you're working a very non-traditional schedule, and finding those pockets of consistency, is because that's how my mind works, right? I work out from Monday to Friday, 6 or 7 a.m., depending on what time I woke up that day, basically. And just like finding my moments of peace, understanding that like maybe at 8:30, I'm hitting the ground running and I lock in, it's event mode for me. And then I can turn it off and do my own thing. And then it's also, within your social life, sometimes there's that moment of FOMO, like I need to go to this happy hour, I need to go like hang out with my friends, but like sometimes just doing something on your own, like go watch a movie, right? Go on a walk, right? Finding those moments on your own, especially when you're in an industry, in a space where you're constantly surrounded and interacting with people, having those moments sometimes yourself, I think I've grown to find that very valuable. And I feel less FOMO. I mean, there's always a little FOMO, but like you value where you want to spend your time and where you want to spend your energy. And for me, my social bank goes from like 100 to 0 real quick. And I'm a very forward-facing role in our org too, being with clients, and especially when you're on site, you're like, okay, gotta turn on personality. And then like, as soon as I'm done, I will shut down. I need to like recharge, but I think like to tone in on one point, finding those pockets of time and finding that balance within your team. Two, to make sure that one, you're still getting your work done, right? You're getting what needs to get done, but also creating space for yourself, whether it's, having, weird new weekends, but also pockets of time throughout the day to just do your thing, get your personal life, as close to put together as you can, because I know it's always crazy. And then, doing what you do best, understanding that there's a level of trust instilled from the top down and even from the bottom up, right? Especially if you're managing a team that, you're available when you can be, but understand that like pockets of time need to be kept safe, right? To do your own thing.
Yeah. I would say if you are anyone who works with people, not even as a people manager, but if you are anyone who works with other humans in your job, I would say what I think a lot of probably women specifically feel is guilt when you take off. I think every single woman on this call, at least probably I know feels that just based off their work ethic. And I think that particularly happens because we feel like we have so much more to prove, just with society and societal norms and the way that we've been brought up, right? And so what I would say is if you work with people, particularly women, you can generally, if you're paying attention, even through Zoom, you can generally tell when they need a break and they're getting burnt out. And so what I would challenge everyone to do is make sure you are telling that person, hitting them up on the side and saying like, hey, you deserve a day off. Like you should go take time. And I think that if you are a people manager, and something that I appreciate so much about my direct boss and my boss all the way up to the top, is that they are the first to be like, hey, you're taking on too much. You need to go take off 3 days now. Like, I want you out next week for 3 days. Even if you stay home, you're signing off. Like you've been working and traveling for 6 weeks straight every weekend. You're done. Right. And they've been telling me this for a while. So I think that it's on everyone to an extent to like make the norm, to Daryl's point, not be that you're celebrating people who are overworking, but celebrating people who are paying attention to what they need. Right. And what's going to make them ultimately more successful when they come back from their break, because they can finally come with a fresh mind. And so that kind of, I think we are already in this like cultural shift. I think COVID was a big eye-opening moment for a lot of people, but we are totally in this shift of mindfulness and taking time for yourself and self-care and talking about your mental wellness. Like that is absolutely starting to change, where it's not so much that you're congratulated for not sleeping for 4 nights in a row because you were finishing a project, right? So I think that that's huge. And I think that that's something that EG has also been very adamant about celebrating and talking about. We have unlimited paid time off. We have random holidays that come up. When the team won LCS spring split, we all woke up to an email the day after that was like, you all get Friday off. I don't want anybody online, because they know, and leadership knows, that everyone's been, working so hard to get that project done. So definitely stems from the top. But I do think that every person can look out for other people so that we can keep on breaking that norm, so that people are taking care of themselves at a micro level.
It's so important when it comes to the leadership, as someone that is a leader of young minds who are still in school, you have school projects, you have EG work, you probably have another job, because esports students are the biggest grinders I've ever met across any board. They will wear 52 hats and still get 8 hours of sleep and play games and do all those things. It's crazy. So really making sure that they know like burnout is not an option. If you are overworked, you need to come to me as your manager and we need to have that conversation. And my manager does the exact same thing. My executive leadership member, Jessica, told me recently, I just took time off for some family things. And she came back to me and said, you need to take some more time off. I don't see that there's any time off coming up on your calendar. You need to take time off because we have unlimited PTO. We have these resources. You are working hard. Take the time. We will cover you if you're out. It's okay. And that's one big thing that's very different from the space that I came from. We had 15 days off all year, and that's not enough for people to feel recovered. And that's not enough. Like, I feel guilty then to take a mental health day, even though my mental health is in the toilet. And how can my leader tell me that I need to keep grinding and working these 12-hour days when I'm not feeling well or something's going down? That's one big thing that I think EG really looks at, and thank God for unlimited PTO. I love it. But just having those conversations and looking at the people around you to say, hey, you're burned out, or hey, Casey, I know you're going on vacation in a couple of days. Turn your phone off. Don't talk to us. We don't need you. We're in esports where we work hard, play hard. Like, go play hard, go do something else that you don't need to do, and don't worry about work. So we all really strive for that. And I think that that's really a big thing. And I think even in our playbook that you get when you become an employee, it says on your PTO, you turn off Slack, you turn off all email notifications. We don't want to hear from you. So please just go away, which is absolutely fantastic. And I really try to teach that to my interns as well, that, don't feel burned out, don't grind. We're not cool girl grinding anymore. We are taking care of ourselves, cool grind, cool relaxation type ladies now. We don't need to do that. And COVID definitely helped. But having these conversations, again, creating that safe space so that we all feel like we can take this time off is really important.
For me, I think EG has a really, in terms of work-life balance, EG has a great culture. Way better than at Disney. When I told this to people don't believe it. Disney is a company, it's a family-friendly company, but not for family. So we the people who a lot of our senior execs, some of our senior execs, they don't have kids, and then maybe especially for me, I was in a PR team. Maybe I'm a little that team was a little biased, but we had worse time work-life balance. And then if I got off work at 7, that's considered early. And then the assistant look at me like, think I'm like lazy. So at 7 every day, and then we have to work there's like no work-life balance at Disney, and because we were so busy, and then we couldn't really took time off, and then people just everybody worked so hard and really work like just to put a lot of pressure on themselves, and they don't understand people have a personal life as well. And then I think COVID really changed a lot. I hope now Disney particularly my old team, they the culture there changed a little bit. But here, I think COVID really changed. I think a lot of you guys touch on point. What I was going to say is like COVID really changed a lot. And then at EG, we can work 3 days in the office, maybe 2 days in the office, and then the rest of the days at home. And then we can spend time with family. And then, like for example, you can take if you have a late call like me. I work in the evening with our Asian team from like 7 p.m. to like 11 p.m. I don't work all the time, but maybe I take like 2 hours lunch break, or I turn off work I take a little like a nap between 4 to 6. So I work in the evening. And then I really like that flexibility of EG. Maybe esports, I don't know. Like, 'cause this is my first esports company, so I have no idea, but I really like the flexibility here. And then this kind of flexibility really allow me to perform in a really great level. It's kind of it's good for my potential. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And as we wrap up, are there any final words or any advice that you would give young women that are pursuing the esports industry, interested in it, not just as a gamer, but also as behind the scenes?
I can go first if you want me to. Mine is do it. Just do it. It doesn't matter what your background is. If you are a rock star or you believe that you're a rock star, make me believe you're a rock star. I've got interns who are in biochemistry. Daryl's has majors that are I'm a psychology major. We all have majors that are so outside of what we did, and experiences in different industries that translate into esports. Again, potatoes. Who would have thought a girlfriend with potato fields would come into esports and run an intern program? I didn't. If you told me that 2 years ago, I'd say that's crazy. Just do it. If you have the thought that you want to get into this industry or any industry, you can do it. Just be the best that you are, network like crazy, and kick ass. Because anyone can do this. It's not just women that have been in esports or traditional sports or in Hollywood. Anyone can do this as long as you have a passion for it.
Yeah. My advice for literally any girl, woman, anyone who identifies as a marginalized gender is always to ask for what you want. I think that whether it's during the hiring process and you're afraid to command what kind of salary you're expecting, or if it's after you've made it to an org and you feel like you're not, getting the same opportunities as someone else, sometimes it just comes down to people don't know what you want. And I think there's a lot of difficulty in just saying and asking for what you want. So I would just say, be empowered, hold your ground. Don't be afraid to like reach for the stars and tell people you want those stars, because then they know and you're in the back of their mind and they're going to treat you right. Hopefully, ideally better, and giving you what you're expecting. And I think that, again, going back through societal norms and all these things, we just haven't, as women, felt like we can boast or be that confident or arrogant or whatever you think it is. It's not that. It's not. It's just literally protecting yourself and demanding what you need to do the work, right? So ask for what you want. That's it. Just be firm in what you want.
Agree.
Yeah, to add to that, like, don't undervalue yourself, but also walk in with the confidence that that other person has, that you see, right? Because it could be super unfounded, but that kind of got them somewhere, right? So not only, increasing your own value, right? Don't underestimate it, right? Because you, like I said, those self-doubts will creep. Don't do it, right? Go ahead and walk in with confidence that you own that room, you are owning that space, that you did a really good job at whatever project that you did, and post about it. I think that's one thing that I used to not do a lot, right? Of just like, I'm just gonna let the work speak for myself. No, sometimes you gotta speak for yourself to advocate for whatever next job, whatever next goal it is in your career. And especially when you're starting out, create a Google Doc, right? If you get praise on something, write that down so that, maybe as you're building out your next resume, or if you're, working with your supervisor to try and maybe get a raise, right? Or trying to present that opportunity for yourself, you're going to have, if you have that list of your accomplishments, it could even just be like, hey, I got a client to do X, Y, and Z, even though they said no, because I had this conversation about them and I was able to talk them through it. Just, having that list kind of reassures yourself of like, I did this, right? This is my value to the team, to myself, to the org, and this is what I deserve moving forward, right? Just because like there are others who, are always at an opportunity advantage, right, compared to women, where they're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna walk in and do my thing because that is what I deserve. And we need to have that same mentality to be able to achieve all that and more.
I want to thank you all for taking your time out your day today, for speaking with us, encouraging women, young women, and those that identify, and also men who may have been tuned in to listen to what EG is all about, the culture, the people, the brand, but more in generally, how you can transition and not have a regular background. So thank you all. As Jihan J, your host and co-founder of Beatbotics, we are here, we are signing out, and it has been a pleasure, Queens. Have a good day.
Thank you.